Okay, so let's talk about just general information about examinations. Okay, the questions could be multiple choice, true and false. It's not so much matching, fill in the blank, short answer. Those are going to be labeling. That's going to be more for lab, but most of these are. Yeah, I think all of them are going to be multiple choice, true and false. There might be something where, and I'm hesitating only because there might be something where there's going to be put these things in order. Not many of those, maybe one or two in exam, but not many of those. But other than that, that's what it is. The final exam will be all multiple choice, or again, there might be a few that are going to be put these things in order. Okay. Yeah, spelling counts. It has to count, especially if you're going into the health field. Okay. Look for words like, efferent and afferent. I know that doesn't mean anything to you right now, but one letter difference is a total opposite. Okay. We've also learned through the pandemic, asymptomatic and symptomatic. One letter difference is a big difference. That means you're going to follow a certain protocol if you're symptomatic and a different protocol if you're going to be asymptomatic with COVID, right? When you get into pharmacology, even things like Oricept and Aricept, they sound very much alike. You better get the spelling right, otherwise you're going to kill a patient. Even a decimal point in the wrong position is going to kill a diabetic, right? So you got to be very specific, and everything has to be legible. There isn't much that you have to do writing-wise. Lab you do, but it has to be legible. And also, if you're going to use any abbreviations, make sure it's a proper abbreviation that you've learned, that it's in the PowerPoints or in the book. I've seen students put down, for oxygen, they just want to put down oxy for oxygen. Oxy is actually a abbreviation for oxytocin, that is in the hormone that comes out of the pituitary gland. You learn about that later on. But that's not the proper abbreviation for oxygen. See, I'm saying the same thing. The proper abbreviation is O2. So do make sure you do use the proper abbreviations. Okay. The allowed time for the exams, the syllabus quiz, there's no time limit. There's a due date though, or due time. The lecture exams 1 through 3, you'll have 75 minutes to answer 75 to 80 questions. The final departmental exam, you'll have 75 minutes to answer 80 questions. Each of the lecture exams, lecture quizzes, I'm giving you 14 minutes. I know this is wrong, but it's 14 minutes to answer 10 questions. I'll give you a little bit more time on those. And then the bonus quiz, you'll have 55 minutes to answer 60 questions. Okay. The content of the exams, pretty straightforward. You'll understand what that is when you see the next to the last page of the course calendar. But that's what everything's going to be covered. And these are the ones that are going to be that you need to have Proctor U for. Okay. If you don't take the exam or quiz, there's no makeups for any of this. Okay, contact me as soon as possible in advance. I may make a rare occasion solely based on case-to-case situation where I might waive a certain quiz or a certain exam if you're in the hospital or something like that. But it's case-to-case situation. Okay, that missed quiz will be counted as a 0, and that'll be the one that you drop. Again, no exam gets dropped. All the missed quizzes after the first one is going to count as a 0. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about these discussion boards. And it's a big chunk. I'm going to try and condense it into a few minutes of me talking, but everything is discussed about the discussion boards on pages. It's a big section, page 22 to 27. Okay, 22 to 27 is where we're going to be talking about. All right. So why are we doing these discussion boards? Okay, it's an online interaction between classmates and myself. Okay, so we got to try and have it so that it feels as though I'm present, that it feels as though you're in a classroom with other students. So we're trying to build that relationship that, yes, you would get this in a live classroom, but this is the only way we could really do this in an online course. So there's 2 parts for each discussion board. There's something where you're going to be putting in a primary post. This is where you're going to create a message for others to read. Then there's going to be a reply, okay? That reply is going to be a secondary post. So you're going to respond to either a primary post or someone else's secondary post. So you have this primary post, secondary posts that are going to intertwine with each other and make a long, what we call thread. So think of this discussion. That's where they got the term thread from, right? But it gets threaded as one comment leads to another, to another, to another. Okay, so that's where that comes in. Each student must post at least one of each type of post for each discussion board. Okay, and you get graded on that. There's 4 discussion boards. Instructions to open and submit discussion boards are in the syllabus. I'm not going to go into that. You'll also see it in the assessments area. Okay. All the primary and secondary posts are due 8 p.m. on selected dates. Okay. If they're not in by that date, it's going to be marked. You're going to get a 0 for that. Okay. There's no partial credit, no exceptions. Discussion board, and I abbreviate now, discussion board number 1, okay? This is kind of an odd one compared to the other 3. It's really just introducing yourself, and it's going to be due the first week of our course together. The required criteria is found in the discussion board itself and in the syllabus, so I'm not going to bore you and talk to you about here, but the primary post is going to be due day number 2, which is Thursday, January 19th, okay? Creating an appropriate avatar is also required, and instructions are going to show you how to do it. It's easy to do. Just have a picture of yourself. Just make sure it's a picture of your face, a close-up of your face, not something where you're going to have 3 people in there, and these are my 2 buddies, or you and your dog, or I'm seeing a picture of the pyramids, and you're next to the pyramids that I don't see. We want to see your face. If we're going to be discussing things through discussion boards, we want to be able to see who we're talking to, okay? You would do this in a live classroom, so we want to get a close-up of your face, okay? The secondary post is going to be a response to someone's primary post, so I'm giving you until day 3 at 8 p.m. to do that, okay? Again, this is going to be worth 1% of your grade. All right, you'll get 6 points for the primary post and 2 points for the secondary post. And because you have time to do all this, I'm going to be checking for grammar and spelling. Make sure you do that appropriately. Each secondary post must be a well thought out comment. You can't just say, "Hey, sounds interesting. I like to hike also." Yeah, put 3 or 4 sentences in there or more. Your classmates need to talk with each other, not just, have a little, I want to say meme, but just a little comment. Make it, comment, hey, I'm doing the same course as you, or I have the same major as you, or I did have the same job as you. Very difficult, but hopefully we could bridge these things together. Have some kind of little conversation going on there. Okay, but that's what I'm going to be looking for when I'm going to grade you for the secondary post. Okay, so that's the discussion board number 1. Now, discussion board number 2, 3, and 4 are going to be very similar to each other. It's going to pertain to the lecture exams. Okay, so discussion board number 2 is going to relate to lecture exam number 1, and so on. The required criteria is going to be found in both the discussion board itself and in the syllabus, and each of these discussion boards are worth 2% of your grade. There's a little bit more thinking on this than just introducing yourself. The primary post has to include something called a shared weakness and a strength. You have to describe a topic for each and why it would be a weakness or strength, okay? If it's a strength, then come up with something that's going to help another student with, maybe you came up with a mnemonic, maybe you came up with a chart, maybe you found a good website to go to. Make it meaningful that you could help another student. Just saying that, I was a paramedic and that's why it's easy. Granted, that's great, but is there something that you can contribute to help another classmate? Because they were not a paramedic either, or they weren't a paramedic, so they aren't going to learn from that. So you're there trying to almost tutor them a little bit why this is a strength for you. And then the weakness, you got to spend a little bit of time. There's some parts of it, of the weakness that you know. Explain what you already know. And then another student might comment and say, well, we got to build on this. You have a great foundation. Or, and then give you some helpful hints on what to do. Or maybe you say some things in there and it's completely off track. Like, whoa, you think that's where you're going wrong, is because you're thinking this fact is that fact, and it's absolutely wrong. So we got to get you back on track. So this is how you're going to do it. So you're going to help them, okay? You're also going to create a multiple choice question with 5 choices for each, okay? And make sure you're not answering them, because that's what's going to be part of the secondary post, okay? You're going to address the classmate's weakness to help explain the topic better. Just be careful. I've seen situations where you actually confuse the person even more. So just be careful with that. Add some helpful tips. Maybe there's a mnemonic, maybe there's a chart, maybe there's something that you've created and you analyzed it, or you made an analogy rather, on understanding it much better. Do something with that. You're also going to answer one of your classmates' questions that remains unanswered, that someone has not done a secondary post about. And you're going to answer that question, okay? And explaining about that little bit more about that topic. Also, you need to, as I explained to you with the highly recommended review questions, I need you to also explain why B is correct, but you also need to know why A, C, D, and E are incorrect, and explain that in your secondary post, okay? Good examples of what you could do are found on in the syllabus. I'm trying to look for the page, specifically on page 26. Okay. A rubric grading method is also found in the syllabus, specifically for discussion boards 2, 3, and 4. You'll see it on page 25, and that's what I'm going to be grading that on. Okay. Do make sure you are very mindful of the netiquette. Netiquette is kind of a hybrid of the words internet and etiquette. Just be mindful of what you're saying. I think you guys know about this a little bit more than a lot of the adults, because you do it. So, I think most of the younger crowd, the younger generation, tends to do a little bit more texting and emailing. Well, not even emailing, texting, I guess. And just making sure you're not offending anyone. Try and avoid rude tones. You know as much as I do that all caps infer that you are yelling at the person. So just be careful of those. If you look on page 27, I list a few things on there that make you more mindful about that. Don't post any messages that are irrelevant to the discussed thread. And like I said, the netiquette guidelines are on page 27. Now this, I just have to state, so I'll just state students that do not respect fellow classmates will be removed from the course, will fail the course, and will be reported to the chairperson, dean, etc., as this violates the academic conduct code. I never had to worry about this. I never had to deal with this because everybody just showed good respect in the past. But just be mindful of that, okay? And also, I will be grading on content, spelling, proper grammar. That'll all be graded with all this. So just be mindful of that. You can do a draft. Once you hit submit, it does go and you can't change it, but you can type away in there, and then you could store it as a draft and come back to it the next day. Okay, so you could do that. Okay, if you go to, if you go to page 28, okay, I don't have a PowerPoint slide on this, but page 28, I also have on here the content of all the lecture assessments that are done chronologically. It's very similar to page 4 of the course calendar, but in a different format. So take a look at that if you want. Then on page 29, I believe, yeah, the top of page 29, you'll see this. It's the point distribution. And you'll see here how everything is, yes, there's points on there, but more importantly is the adjusted weights. And again, this is only for lecture, okay? And you can see how everything is adjusted over here. You'll see that the lecture exams are worth 18% each, giving you 54% of your grade. The final exam is worth 25%. Right there is yeah, it's over 70. It's 79% of your grade right there. Okay. Keep in mind that I do have a bonus quiz that can raise each of your 3 lecture exams. That's the ones that's at 54%. Each one of those by 2 percentage points. No other exam grade, i.e. the final exam, can be affected with this. And no exam grade could exceed 100%. So if you have, let's say, on your lecture exam number 2, you got 76% and you got 100% on your bonus. That 76 bumps up to a 78. However, if you have a 99 on lecture exam number 2 and you got 100% of your bonus, I can't give you 101%. It caps off at 100%. Okay, so that's what that is. And also keep in mind that the total grade is made up of 75% of your lecture and 25% of your lab. Okay. Just to reiterate and summarize what I went through about Blackboard once again, you'll find my syllabus on there, all the announcements. Contact me. Remember, that's the only way to contact me, that you're going to get a very fast answer is through the inbox Blackboard mail or BB mail. All my PowerPoints are on there. The discussion boards, you're going to find that all on there too. All my recorded video lectures are found on there. Remember, just give you some highlights about the review questions. Make sure you do them. There is no answer keys. The answer key is found, the answers are actually found in the PowerPoints and videos. Do them at your own pace and then meet up with 1 or 2 other classmates. There's many benefits to doing this. Remember, it acts as your study guide. I don't do study guides. I don't believe in them because I think that students just study the study guide material and that's it, and that's not right. I think it's more important you study from the review questions because that's hitting all the highlights, and if you don't have that information, you got to put it in there. So you're making your study guide, so to say, instead of me giving it to you. Okay. It's a good representation of all my exam questions, and like I said, 20 to 25% of my exams will have these questions on it. Okay. So it's many things to do on there. Really, there is no class cancellations. I usually use this for my live classes. But if you do have some live classes, like obviously the lab portion, watch the CCM website, check the CCM main phone line. That'll give you a recording of what's going on. But the best way, if you haven't done this already, is Rave. I think if you go to your account on the CCM website, you will see that there's something called Rave. Rave is one of these things that, like, you put your phone number in there, or your cell phone number, your email address, something like that, and you'll get this umbrella text or this umbrella email or voicemail stating what's happening on campus, that there was a snowstorm, so Saturday's things are all canceled, or there was a delayed opening or whichever. So but yeah, Rave is the best way to do that. I'm not going to cancel. Again, this is going to be really for my live students. I'm not too sure what your lab professor is going to do if she cancels for a personal reason. Ask her for that. Okay. Academic integrity. Just don't cheat. It is not worth it. I bring it all the way up to the higher ups, and not good enough follows you with your student record. So just don't do that. The last thing I want to do, which is on finally the last page, of the syllabus is important dates. And there's really two major dates I want you to note. The last day to drop this course without a grade is going to be January 24th. Okay, so it doesn't even show up on your transcript. But if you go beyond that date, you can still withdraw and not get an F, D, or C. You still can withdraw, but it shows a W on your transcript, and you have until February 23rd for that to happen. And I will remind people as those dates come near. Okay. And just remember my teaching philosophy. You've heard this before, at least this part. Live like you're going to die tomorrow. But my teaching philosophy is learn like you're going to live forever. Just let that register in your head, the way I'm teaching, right? So that's basically it. Okay, so back to me. Yeah, I was wearing glasses. I'm getting to that age. But anyway, I wanted to welcome all of you to this. I know we spent a good, almost 2 hours of doing this video. But it sure is easier to go through the video and follow with with the syllabus in your hand. Make sure you do that syllabus quiz. And once you feel like you know this, the highlights of this syllabus. But I'm looking forward to it. With the three of us over here, I want to wish you good luck with everything. Don't be hesitant to email me if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to it. Stay well. I'll be there.